Good day, everybody. This is Doug, the Modeling Hermit, and I am still working on this 1978 Dodge D100 pickup that's becoming now a crew cab race car hauler. Doing that for a friend of mine and also for the Race Vehicle Hauler Group Build 2025. I'll get it out yet. And so this is my progress so far. I have the cab is now connected. I've sanded some areas and then I put in a little more filler in them here where they were low spots. Other than that, I'm not doing a whole lot with the cab. That's basically it. I will say one thing. When you are building this cab, I used the back of the body, and you can see I got a line down. I got a line down here. I used the back of the body for connecting, and I don't know why, because I should have just come up here and used the door, and I would have just had that nice line right there for the door. Because on the tandem, crew cabs, that just has that one door line in it. So that's something to think about next time. Just cut. When you cut this, you would actually be cutting over like this and over, and then cutting back of what you need. So that's something to think about there. The chassis we'll get to in a moment. It's got to be done after the interior, and we'll talk about the interior a little bit. I decided to go ahead and use the back seat area for this. On the front, the back of the front seat, I added a 080, a piece of 080, just sheet plastic there on that. Just cut that down to fit in there. And then I did the same thing with the front at the back seat. I did the same thing there and just glued that into there. And then I cut this little area out of here in it. And then that's going to just slide right up into there like that. And if you can see that. And that just sits like that in there. And then I'll paint this before I assemble it here while I can get to everything in it there. And that's basically it for the interior. I mean, just, one piece of sheet plastic here and another one right down here, because they actually come together underneath of each other like this. So if you can see that, that's coming down like this here at the back. And then this actually slides up into there. And then that goes actually just ahead of this piece here. So it actually comes in right in here, this area. So that just glues in like that there. You can see how that's just ahead of that back seat there on that. And then this just gets, just basically trim that to fit. And this little bit up here that is over, you'll just fill that. That's no big deal. There's just not that much of that. Now the reason we're doing that is that's all got to be done before the chassis goes together. And once we get the chassis together, I'm going to talk a little bit more on this chassis yet too. But once we get the chassis together, then we can slide all this on top. But we have to do this fitting, a little bit of fitting at a time here. And I had this, okay, so on this end here, you can see that kind of dips, well, whatever, comes up. I'm going to just take and cut that just a little bit there. After I get this measured out, I've got this yellow line here. And that's what I'm going to be using to trim this to fit. Now that really can't be done until after the interior is in the truck and we have an idea just how much we got to trim this off here. So I've got this yellow line here, and I'll be just, eking that back a little bit at a time, probably to fairly close to this line right here. That's my plans on it right now. And then after that, I'm going to just make a little cut right here and another one here. I'm not going to worry too much about this in here. But if whatever's left there, I'm going to cut this and then just bend that down a little bit there to meet this flat area here. Because see, this is flat across here. That's flat there, and then this comes up. And we just got to meet this flat area here, and you can see, if I can get this over here. Well, let me pull that up a little bit. You can see how that actually raises up there. So we're going to have to work on that just a little bit, but not a whole lot of worry on that. The chassis, rear part of the chassis. Okay, so now this comes underneath the body of the truck. And then this goes underneath the body of the race hauler. And then this is actually designed that it would go like this here. But I'm going to be turning that around so that my wheel wells are actually at this end here, and I have a little bit more to connect up with the back of the race car hauler back over into here. So that's why I'm going to be turning that around. Now what I really should have, and then it kind of goes together like this here type thing. And then of course you got this gas tank here. Remember, this is an old 78 MPC kit, and they didn't really get into their chassis. They got, some detail, but their detail was in the body, and then the interior, and then the chassis, and of course the engine was basically in there with the interior. So, with that in mind, you end up with all this lines here. These would be the bottom of the bed for the pickup, supposedly wood bed. No, I guess that's a metal bed for the pickup. So anyway, what my thought is, if I would suggest to you that when you're building this thing, if you got the skills, just build your own chassis. Because I mean, this really, especially if you're going for, let's say if you're going for a shelf quality, don't worry that much about it. Like what I'm doing, this is just shelf quality. This will never be seen. But if you're going for the quality of a contest, you need to just build a whole new chassis. This is just, this works for what we're doing here, but it does not work, for a contest, because you got all this stuff going on that it doesn't make any sense. But I'm going to go ahead and use it anyway. But like I said, I am turning this piece around to go like that. That gives me, behind my wheel well, it gives me a little bit extra for the base of the race car hauler body to fit onto. So that's my thoughts on this so far. And that's going to be just trial and error as I go along, mostly on fitting the body and the interior onto the chassis itself. Here, let me get this thing down a little bit now. Okay, so with that in mind, I mean, this is quite a chassis on this thing now. It's going to be pretty long, but that I will be using the body from the Racer's Wedge race car hauler as a template. I thought about using it for this to start with, but I'm really not that thrilled with that body. It just, I don't know, it raises the car way up too high to suit me. I don't like the center of gravity on those. So I will be using it as a template and then adjusting for that. This one sets a little bit flatter than Racer's Wedge too. So, but do be prepared that I think I'm going to be just using sheet plastic for that. Just getting sheet plastic and using on it. So that's my plans on this. This is where I'm at so far on the building of the chassis, the interior, the body. And we haven't even discussed the engine yet. Basically, I'll just go stock on that engine. So anyway, so this is where I made my cut line right here. And like I said, next time when you're cutting that rear body, cut it up to here and then adjust it back using this door frame, door line right there. So, and then that top will need a little fill on that. So I can't really think of anything else. Like I said, this is just a thing that's going to be trial and error, just cutting this down a little bit at a time to make sure I've got the right length and that I don't end up with a big problem in this deal. So with that in mind, Boy, there's just not much else to discuss at the moment. It's just tricky. I mean, I can't think of any other words for it. It's just a little bit tricky to do this, but it's not that hard. It's just, you got to do it slow and make sure you do it right. And then there's others who have done this many times too, that they're going to come on here in the comments section. So watch the comments section, and they're going to tell you easier ways and ways that they do things. So you guys, if don't feel that you're upsetting me by putting anything in those comments. This is to help others to learn how to do this, and so feel free. If you've got a better way of doing something, I'm all for listening to you, believe me. So hit those comments. So this is Doug, the Modeling Hermit, and I am off the air, and I am gone.